Hi everybody, welcome to the Limit Breakdown, where we break down everything in TV shows, movies, and entertainment. I'm your host, Sid.
I'm Migs.
And today we're going to be reviewing episode 8 of The Last of Us on HBO. So stick around after our intro for our deep dive, spoiler-filled review of episode 8 of Last of Us.
Welcome back to the Limit Breakdown, and today we're going to be reviewing episode 8 of The Last of Us on HBO. So, just like Ellie did, Sid, let me have it.
Alright, so I was actually looking forward to this episode, right? So we played the games, we knew what was going to happen. We knew that Ellie was going to go off on her own, try to fend for herself, and then what was going to lead up. My thing was, that was such a pivotal moment in the game. I wanted to see how they were going to turn it into the show. And I think they did a great job because they started off with the preacher. Mm-hmm. They started off with the preacher and his back and kind of his settlement first, then went to Ellie, and then went back to him. They did such a good job with Scott Shepherd, who plays the preacher. I did a fantastic job. He portrayed the cool, calm collectiveness of what a leader should be, while bearing the forefront of like the evils that he knows they are doing. Now, I'm not saying he did a good thing, but I'm just saying I understand. And he did such a good job of playing that character that I was blown away just by his performance.
So what the show has been doing that I appreciate as an expansion of the content of the game is they have been taking these characters from the game that were already powerful in their representation as it was in the game with the brevity of content that we were shown, and then they've added just enough. Like, David was already particularly menacing and one of the most evil villains, if you will, from the game, and then adding the layer of cult leader and pedophile to top off cannibal. Like, how is it that on a list of character defects, cannibal is the one at the bottom of the list?
Yeah.
But I thought that I agree with you that Mr. Shepherd did a fantastic job in that portrayal, and it was also just like you said, his calm demeanor. He wasn't overly aggressive. He wanted to gain Ellie's trust. Like he let her go after giving her the medicine, because he knew that even if she did give Joel the medicine, that they weren't going to be going anywhere anytime soon, that they had plenty of time to go back and track them and follow them and get them back, which is, basically what they did. Fun fact, I'm not sure if you knew this, his second in command, James, is actually Troy Baker, who is the voice actor for Joel for the games.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Wow, nice. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
So they keep giving the voice actors for the game like different roles in the show.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
So speaking of Troy Baker, who was James, so the whole I'll do a quick snippet of the episode. So you see the preacher in his town, and he's teaching God about God and the gospel and all that stuff. And they go out hunting for deer. Along the way, Ellie is like, "Hey, I'm gonna go hunt for Joel for get some food." Kills a deer. They come across each other, and she's like, they're very aggressive. She's like, I want that deer. The preacher is like, "Well, we have medicine that we can trade for you," and he tells James to run back to the village and get back actual medicine. In the meantime, Ellie and the preacher kind of get to know each other by a campfire. And he's like, "No, everything happens at once. For example, I sent out 4 men to search for food, and only 3 came back. And they said there was a little girl traveling with a man." And she's like, "Oh shit, this guy's gonna kill me." And he's like, no, it's okay. Like, we want you to come back. We can be part of your group. We're just gonna bring Joel, the other guy, to justice. Eventually they capture Ellie, take her back. That's when and she's in a cage, which the scene is exactly from the game. Yeah. I thought that was fantastic. And I loved how Ellie, even she knows she's captured. She knows that she's in a bad spot, still mouthing off.
Ellie is my kindred spirit. I'm telling you,
still mouthing off.
If I'm ever unfortunate enough to be in the positions that she's in, or in any type of danger like that, I hope I have the cojones to be able to be as mouthy as she was. Like, she was just not caring.
Eventually, she does happen to escape because they want to go kill her, and she gets away. Burns down the cabin.
I think we're underselling this a little bit.
Okay.
She hit him with the old switcheroo because he's revealing his plan and how apparently he sees that Ellie is strong-willed and wants to create a future with her, hence the pedophile aspect. And she's all like, "Oh, really? Is that so?" And he puts his hands and then breaks his finger from the cage, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, you want to know my name? Tell him my name is Ellie. I'm the one. That's the little girl that broke your king finger."
Yeah. Oh my god.
Super badass. And then of course, he's not too happy about that. Comes back in with Troy Baker James. And they're going to chop her up and kill her. And then she reveals the bite mark on her arm, and he's like, "You can't eat me. I'm infected." Mm-hmm. And it takes them a minute, and the preacher isn't really falling for him, but James, Troy Baker, is like, "Wait a second, that looks pretty real to me," and she takes advantage of the distraction, hits him with the cleaver, and uses that to get away. Like, ugh.
Man, that was clean. And then what's funny is, so every episode so far, they've built up a character and then killed him. And I was wondering how they're going to do it in this episode. And, like, we knew that the preacher was going to die. Right, that's fine. But the fact that the whole time the preacher keeps asking James, "Hey, do I have your back? Or do you have my back?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I got you," the whole time. But you could tell he's doubting the preacher almost every step.
One of the very interesting things that wasn't in the game that they kind of alluded to over here was the reason for them being cannibals. Mm-hmm. Was that they've got this group of people, right? That's dependent on them. It's a particularly harsh winter, mm-hmm. and there's no game around.
Yeah.
Like, and so apparently the deer that Ellie shot was like the first one they'd seen in quite some time. And so what they're doing is they're basically eating their dead. Mm-hmm. And so even the guy that Joel killed, apparently, mm-hmm. like, They apparently ate him, and there's that scene in the beginning where she's like, "Oh, we want to bury our father," and they're like, "Oh, well, the ground's too hard to dig right now. We'll bury them in the spring." And then it cuts to the scene where they're in the kitchen, and like the one lady that's prepping the food looks at it and goes, "What is that?" Mm-hmm. And they're like, "It's venison."
And I think that was his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was his wife.
And so it's kind of like one of those things. It's one of those, like, people know, but they don't want to know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like there's just too much. And one thing that I thought was particularly interesting is how, like, everybody else has, like, rationed small foods, mm-hmm. small bits of food, whereas David has a full plate.
Yeah. And
he's the only one that's, like, eating it heartily, just, like, enjoying it. And then all of the religious tones, and just, how he's referring to Father as God, but then he's also kind of indicating that he's the Father.
The scene where they're like, "Hey, we found those people that were out," and then the girl's like, "Can we kill them?" And he just quietly, whop, and he's like, and then he gives a helping hand. I find that very funny because he was basically like, to tell people I am in control, but I will help you. So it's one of those, like, you're happy under an oppressed thumb type thing. That scene was very fun.
And it's something that I feel like isn't very often touched in like a lot of these post-apocalyptic shows and scenarios where the amount of, I would imagine in that type of situation, the amount of religious fanaticism and downright like oppression that would occur, because it wouldn't take, I mean, he said it himself, he didn't find religion until afterwards. And by the way that he was speaking to Ellie, he didn't really believe it. He just saw it as a useful means to be able to
do what he
to maintain his power and do what he wanted to do. And you figure, post-apocalypse, all of this, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna read a few verses from Revelations and see, I told you, I'm a wise guy. But it made an already terrifying character even more terrifying.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to switch gears a little bit to Joel, who majority of this episode was just lying in bed with a gaping hole in his stomach. When Ellie gets the penicillin and she's using it, I'm not gonna lie, at the exact same moment, right before she did it, I was like, I don't even know how to use penicillin. Like, I know the concept of penicillin. I was like, I don't know how to apply it. And she's like, what the hell do I do? And I'm like, and she's like, I guess I should stick it in the wood. I'm like, I would do the same thing. And she's like, I hope this works. And then I think it was that night or the next day where she does it again. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then Linda sitting next to me, she's like, you can die from penicillin overdose if you have too much. I was like, I did not know that. So, somehow, magically, so now when the guys are coming to go door to door to find them, Ellie runs away to kind of distract them. They're trying to find Joel, and somehow Joel had the energy to roll out of bed, kill that guy, and then continue killing all the other
All I'm saying is, if this is any proof that cannibalism doesn't pay, because if a man on his deathbed has more strength and energy to defeat four presumably healthy men.
Yeah, I found that kind of weird.
Yeah. No, but I mean, honestly, it also kind of goes into, there's probably like,
I think he was doing a little sneaky stuff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you also have to factor like adrenaline and all that into that stuff, and then,
And then he makes it back to... Oh, man, the scene... Okay, hold on. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Okay. There was one thing that I don't know if this is a flaw or something that I just didn't make sense. Linda pointed this out to me. So, the scene right before this, when Ellie's running it with the horse, James shoots the horse down, Ellie gets knocked over, and he's like, okay, here's the exact words. He's like, two of you with me, drag the horse... The rest of you go find whatever, right? So there's like four people, 4 or 5 people, I can't remember. So there's him, 2 are with him, then the other 2 are grabbing the horse. That only leaves 2 other people to go search for Joel.
Yeah, there was only 2 people.
That math doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
How is there 2 people doing this, 2 people doing this?
No, there was 3 people that went to look for Joel, I think.
Something like that, but I'm like, somewhere along the line, that guy doesn't know his math. How did that happen?
I'd have to look at the scene again. I don't remember.
It was just weird to me. But the scene that I was not expecting that I really liked. So this was a popular line in the game, right? So Joel has 2 people tied up. Yeah. He's like, show me where we are. Show me where the camp is. And he's like, you're going to show me where it is, and then I'm going to show it to your friend, and it better match up, right? So, and in the game, that's one of those tactics, right? He shows one person the map, shows the other person the map, and you're like, it better match up, because if they're lying, he's going to kill one of them. Yeah. And then he kills the guy anyways. Yeah. And I was like, man, that scene, 1, straight out of the game. Yeah. 2, it shows the stuff that Joel has done to prove when Marlene originally said, if 2 people can do this, it's you 2. Yeah. And that scene literally proved it. Especially when the guy was like, no, he's telling the truth. Like, he's telling the truth. You don't need me. He's like, you're right. I do believe. I
believe him.
Boom!
Yeah, no, that scene in particular, like you said, it goes back to showing you just what Joel is capable of, and especially in that situation. And I, what makes this entire sequence so integral into the development of Ellie as a character was us as an audience were desperately hoping for Joel to reach her and save her.
Yeah,
and we were like, okay, Joel, you got to get to her, and in the end, she saved herself, and she saved herself by going into such a dark place.
Yeah,
such a dark place, and while he didn't save her physically, he brought her back because like you can, and I give the actress a lot of credit, Bella Ramsey, because like in the game, one of the more powerful moments in that was that you can see that it was just something inside her broke.
Yeah,
like for her, you know, to go from struggling to shoot someone to just, I mean, she must have hit him with that cleaver like.
Yeah,
15,
she was
just
going in. The camera was trying to too. I was like, that was insane.
And so like she walks in the game. In the game, Joel walks up and grabs her as she's still cleaving away. In here, she makes it out of the building, and that's when Joel runs into her. And I think it was very powerful when he sees, you know, that she's obviously just gone through something.
Yeah.
And the only thing he could think to do is to wrap his arms around her and say, "It's okay, baby girl." And that's the first time he's ever like treated her, shown her
that level of love.
And I think that's what she needed at that particular moment because like, how do you come back from that?
Yeah.
Like how do you go to that level and how do you come back? And so it was such a powerful scene, and it's so key in the development of their relationship, and is going to lead directly into the events of next week's episode.
The finale.
Oh man,
there was one thing that I thought about later. This is going back to the preacher. So I was named David, right?
Yes.
When finally Ellie escapes from the little cage and he's going and James is dead, he casually takes the knife off of James' dead neck, and he's going after her. He's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and then he has his little monologue. He's like, "There's something dark inside me. I almost want to do it." Yada yada yada. She throws the little stick at him with the burning misses. I was like, that was kind of useless. Whatever. Yeah. It lights the curtains on fire, and now the wood cabin is starting to burn. He looks at it, and then goes right back to Ellie. This whole time, the cabin is burning. He doesn't even care. And to what we were saying earlier, it shows his character of how previously he was called composed, and there is something truly dark inside him because the cabin is burning. That's where they all used to eat. That's where they gather. He does not care. It
also, I thought, was very noteworthy how the cabin was on fire. His people knew that was in there, and nobody came to his help.
Yeah.
Nobody came to see what was going on.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. I was like, when she went outside, I was like, shoot, someone's going to come and shoot her. Maybe the rest of the people, somebody. Oh, it was Joel. And I was like, how are they going to escape? And they just walk away. And I found that, you're right. Good point. I didn't think about that.
The other thing that I thought, because at first I was like, okay, you know, it didn't make sense to me that he would be so hyper-focused on Ellie when the cabin's on fire. But then at the same time, I think about the sequence of events that happen, and he's the first person outside of Joel to realize that she's immune. Because, you know, he's like, so I want you to tell me how you survived that bite.
Yeah.
Or are you just that fucking special?
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing somewhere in his twisted brain, he's like, oh shit, I might have something here.
Yeah.
So I think that also led to his persistence as far as, you know, I'm gonna hold on. And then, of course, they do the twisted thing, which, again, ignoring the cabin on fire, he like, pins her down and gets her on the ground and is choking her. And
he's ready to...
Yeah. And it makes it look like he's gonna, you know, like, abuse her, but it's like, at the same time, bro, how far you think you're gonna get?
Yeah.
The cabin's on fire. Like...
Yeah, that was... Oof,
and then the, you know, but to Ellie's tenacity, like, just... She didn't, you know, she was getting choked, she was getting dragged, and she biting, kicking, clawing and then as soon as she got an opportunity, whack.
Yep, and the one in town on his face with the cleaver, just crazy.
Yeah, that was super cool.
I think they did a really good job with the preacher's dynamic and his character, starting from the beginning being cool, calm, collective, and you see his dark side later at the end.
This show and this story, they keep finding ways of making tragedy even worse. And I don't.
Fair.
But it was a good episode.
Great episode.
I feel like it was on par with some of the better ones of this season. Overall, I feel like the season as a whole thus far has had a little bit of pacing issues. I feel like there's some moments that have definitely been rushed, but overall, I think like the direction and what we've gotten as far as an adaptation has been absolutely top notch, and I'm genuinely excited for next week.
Yeah, season finale next week. I literally have no words. I'm that excited.
Super hyped up. All right, well, let us know what you thought in the comments. Let us know if you agree with our thoughts, or if there is anything else that you want to tell us. We appreciate you as always. Catch you next time. All right, so thanks for tuning in, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
And please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and podcasting services such as Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Thanks a lot. Catch you next time.